Welcome to the Untitled Film Project Podcast. Watch the movie, then come listen. We are talking about Taylor Swift, the ERAS tour movie, a concert film that captures the show that transformed cities for days on end into meccas for Swifties the world over, giving people a chance to see the concert from the most popular performer in the world, arguably. Let's talk Taylor Swift's ERAS.
Welcome to the ERAS tour. This has been the most extraordinary experience of my entire life.
And we're going to ask the big question, which is?
The big question is, because we've seen Taylor Swift, the ERAS tour, and we've even seen Talking Heads Stop Making Sense this year, the re-release of that. Those are concert films, not documentaries. So therefore, the question is, if you could go back to if you could have cameras at any point in history, music history, what would you love to see an IMAX, big screen, whatever, version of concert film? So,
Of anything.
And I'm leaving it vague on purpose.
Okay.
So that's the big question of the day.
All right. So of all of music history.
That's correct.
Okay.
What would you like to see an IMAX concert film of?
Or even prehistory. From a cave wall.
Family Guy already did that, actually.
Well, for the Taylor Swift era tour movie, I think we all have to disclose first where we are or not are in the Taylor Swift universe.
I agree.
I'll start off. It's not bragging if it's true. She might remember me at this point in her career, but I've had many experiences with Taylor Swift from the very beginning, from the absolute start of her career. I did go see the concert. I did receive my friendship bracelets, my Taylor bracelets that I'm wearing on the podcast today. I'm a fan. I'm a fan that has always loved her music and respected her even more, because I've seen her career at every stage and met her through many of those stages at different points and just
Literally met her.
That's
clear.
I'm a Swiftie. I've always been there.
But I also want to say, because you left it out, you are the only one at this table who saw the ERAS show. Like, you went to the actual concert of this tour.
I did see this tour with my eyes in person.
Yes. And I have seen Taylor Swift live, but back in 2000, I want to say it was 11.
Okay.
At Bridgestone Arena in Nashville. So I've seen her live too, but obviously
not to this scale.
Pre-world domination.
And I
Taylor
saw her
Swift.
live in 2008 when she opened for Rascal Flatts.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I did not know that.
A long time ago.
Oh, so we've all seen her live then.
Yes, at different points in her career.
Very different points.
Very different points.
Right.
Okay.
Ones they weren't making movies about. So this is, it's not a documentary. There's no behind.
Wait a minute. Why are you going to see Rascal Flatts?
It was 2008, okay? It's a different point in my life.
He was young. He needed the money. Let's just not question it.
Okay. All right.
I could go into a deep story.
You don't have to here. Let's focus on Taylor, and then we'll get to that later.
Please, no.
This movie is a concert film. It is not behind the scenes. It is, I believe, directly made for people who did not get to see this concert. For every person that got a ticket, there was 100 people in this world that tried. Okay, so this is to satisfy them after the North American tour is over, and for those that did go and wanted to relive it, which is one of the reasons I went. So let's talk about the concert itself, your thoughts going into it, initial takes. Let's start with Mr. Bradford.
All right, so my background as well, I've always enjoyed Taylor Swift's music. I don't believe I've ever been a hater, because she has so many of those out there as well. Respect her as just a person that truly appreciates and respects her fans. She knows what her fans want. She gives the fans what they want, and she does everything first with the thought of what's going to make her fans happy, whether it's putting this out as a film, whether it's putting out the live music recording of the tour as well too, giving them so much during the pandemic to get through it, and just being true and real to herself. And that's what I appreciate about her as a business person too, is that she's incredibly smart and intelligent, but also including people that she trusts, like her family, as part of the process. But ultimately, it's her decision. And she's grown up that entire way of being empowered by her family as well to be a part of the decision-making process. And we see that so much because you see her in every aspect of it. You see the details.
She's in control.
She's in control. The entire movie. First of all, I want to explain my experience while watching this movie. In my local theater, there's 12 total screens, and it was a Sunday, and I'm thinking, okay, it's a Sunday. I do want to see it. I have to see it, but I want to see it as well. I truly do. $19.89 plus tax, non-refundable. Everybody knows that, right? Because typically with AMC A-List, you're able to you can cancel, you can change seats. I've done that multiple times. Not that I didn't want to go. I just maybe wanted to change a seat.
Yep. No
go
passes
to a different
on
showing.
this one.
No passes or anything.
You had to pay.
But I choose the 10 o'clock show, thinking, okay, it's a Sunday night. I'm not going to get anybody else in there. So I choose the very back row off to the corner where there's only 3 seats, where a lot of these theaters, people aren't going to want to sit next to you in a weird area like that. Yeah. Thinking the front will get taken up.
It's already creepy, by the way.
No.
Parlays into my story we'll get to later.
I don't like people.
Okay. Too much peopling you were trying to avoid.
All right, but let's set that up. You are going to sit in the back corner.
Yes.
At a Taylor Swift movie.
Yes.
Okay.
At 10 p.m. at night as a 39-year-old male.
Just want to make sure.
Were there night vision goggles?
Hold on. So I'm tracking through the day how many people have reserved seats for this. I'm like, okay, I'm still the only one. It
also
gets to be
not weird.
Look, I just want to be aware of what I was getting into, okay?
Yeah, that's
like it is.
I can't fault him for that.
So I keep looking. The 9 o'clock show has 0 people. The 9:30 has 10. The 10:30 has 1 as well. So I'm like, man, I really wish I could go to the 9. So I'm not going to get out of there until 1 in the morning, because that's what time I did get out, was 1 in the morning. I can't change it because it's non-refundable.
Right.
So I'm like, I guess I'm stuck going to the 10 o'clock. So I go at 9:58 and I get some popcorn. I ask if there's any merch left. They're like, nope, sorry, that's been gone.
Yeah.
And I see the queue lines with pink ribbon all throughout the theater because people are arriving early. And I keep checking. I'm like, maybe like someone just shows up to the theater and gets a ticket. So I'm in my back corner seat as the previews are starting. Nobody else has come in. I check one last time. I'm like, okay, I'm going to move up a row to the center so I have the best seat in the house. Right in front of the projector window, center. I'm like, okay, the previews are ending. We don't even get Nicole Kidman. It goes into the Taylor Swift countdown, so I get my phone ready. I'm like, I'm about to enjoy a one-on-one showing of me with Taylor Swift. And so if you go to my Instagram or TikTok, you're going to see me singing along so much throughout this entire program. There was one point where people walked in. They started dancing a little bit too. They looked up and saw me just eating popcorn while watching the film. Quickly went, ugh, and turned around and walked out.
Yeah, but they had the same reaction when they saw the guy in the windowless van outside.
Yep, that's right.
But then when I exited the theater, granted, there was still another showing at 10:30 that had one single person in it as well. Every light in this movie theater was shut off. I walk out to the hallway. I walked into the concessions area. It's dark. Like, I had to turn on the flashlight on my phone to see. They'd shut off every single light. The marquee lights were off. I'm like, this is awkward and weird. But I thought, before we get into more details, it was an incredible experience, especially by myself, to get that. Granted, some people said, man, you want the screaming fans, everything. No, I was very pleased to experience fully, without being distracted, what I wanted to see, which was an incredible production of this concert by myself.
All right.
I'll go next because I can do a stark contrast to that.
Okay,
although
go over.
The awkwardness is the same. So
different kind of awkward.
Okay, so
version 2.
So the quick version, I hope, is that I get back from my cruise, and I'm like, okay, I know we're going to record this episode. I know we're going to do the Taylor Swift ERAS tour. So I go, I got to see it. So we on our text chain, I'm like, hey, I'm back. I'm going to go see the show probably on Tuesday. Drop my son off for dance. Immediately go to the theater. I'll see it then. It's a perfect way to not impact the rest of my family, right? That's usually how I do my movies, right? And Bradford goes, I'm not seeing any showings past Sunday. It's Saturday, mind you. Right. And I'm like, what? And so I look on the AMC app, and sure enough, Monday, nothing. Tuesday, nothing. Wednesday, I'm like, oh my God.
Thursday through Sunday.
But I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I thought
I
it was
didn't know either.
literally the last showing.
Yeah.
So I was like, was it a weekly release? Like it was just
One weekend
Is
only?
that why these theaters are so sold out? Because there's a sense of urgency to like get people there. So I'm like, I have to go see it tomorrow. So sure enough, Sunday I buy a ticket for I think it was a 4:30 show. I have a hockey game at 9:45 because that's what I have to
Gotta jam
do
it in
one
there.
time and be efficient. I walk in and it's full of teenage girls and their moms. There's a couple dads in there maybe. I only know that because one walked by me later, which is not the point. So I sit down in my seat, which is in the third row. There's 1, 2, 3. Those are totally empty. And then the whole back of the, there's like a platform where the handicap seats are, and then the rest of the stadium, right? All full, except for like maybe like a peppering of like empty seats. I sit down. I'm closest to the stage, so let's picture this. I'm sitting down the third row, dead center, by myself. No daughter, no
popcorn?
wife,
And
popcorn. Yep, popcorn.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
And a drink, and I sit down, and I realize that I'm the only dude by himself, let alone my age at 46, in that theater. So now I'm playing mind games with myself the whole time. Because now 3 girls from the back, first song comes out, right? 3 girls from the back run down and sit in the front row like they've just got upgraded at the real actual show.
Right.
And they're like, doing everything. And I was like, okay, it's fun. But I'm also the creepy middle-aged white dude, heterosexual guy in the theater by himself.
Staring at them.
Right. It's really weird. So,
all right, that you can't help. They came to you.
I understand that, but
they put you in an impossible position.
No, it actually made me feel better because then there were actually 3 people that were in front of me.
Okay,
See,
all right.
every eye was on me before. Now there's at least these 3 that are drawing attention
Were there
away
any
from.
midsummer circles in front of you?
No.
Okay.
No. So,
Midsummer reference. Nobody in a bear suit. Okay, good.
so that's my experience with Taylor Swift the Eras Tour is, but again, as we wrap up, I'll just say that I thought it was we look for movies like documentary type things. Like this is, again, not a documentary, it's a concert film, but we look for snapshots like this of history to give us a true snapshot of what the moment, whatever that is, 9/11, Pearl Harbor, whatever it may be, is like. This did that for her stardom.
Yeah.
This movie captures the snapshot that is the world-class, famous person in the world, Taylor Swift, at the height, so far, of her popularity. Doing what she does best, by the way. So you have all of that on display in IMAX glory. It was awesome. That being said, I am a casual fan of her music. I know almost all of her singles.
The hits, yeah.
I don't know any of her deep cuts at all. So I've classified. If somebody came to me and said, "Oh yeah, I know Dave Matthews, I know Crash," they're a casual fan to me. They may really like Dave Matthews, but that's the song they chose to pick. Therefore, I'm going to call them a casual fan.
No deep
So
cuts.
therefore, I have to do it myself. So I'm a casual Taylor Swift fan. I respect her. I think she's ridiculously smart, which proves putting out a movie right now, by the way, which we'll get to. But I love her talent. She's great. She always preaches positivity for the most part. I love that, and self-empowerment. So all these things put in a blender, it was way too long. For me.
Okay.
Okay, so if you're a Taylor Swift fan, this is your heaven, your nirvana. Because it's 3.5 hours, essentially, after previews and stuff. It's 3.5 hours of just your thing, okay?
Yep.
But as I told Jim a few days ago, in the locker room after that show, actually, we're not allowed to talk about the movies and stuff, so we don't. But I did tell him in the locker room while we're getting dressed, hey, if Dave Matthews Band put out a 3.5 hour concert film, I would go first day, obviously.
Yeah.
But I would be so bored.
It's just too long.
In the venue, you can play for 5-6 hours, and I'll love every second of it. In a movie, it's just too much. And so, therefore, that's what I thought about Taylor Swift the Eras Tour.
Okay, so a counter to that with you throwing out Dave Matthews.
Yes.
How many singles does he have that had radio play?
I'm going to guess. Jim might actually know the answer better than me. I'm going to guess 19 or 20.
Yeah.
It's about that, right?
Big mainstream songs.
Oh, like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
The reason I point that out in terms of like general consensus, and this is your personal, so I know that.
Of course,
I know that.
right.
Even casual fans, for me, for instance, the only songs I didn't have as much familiarity with was Folklore.
Yes, me too.
Right.
Because it was the pandemic album.
Yep.
It was it was definitely her exploring a different genre of music and everything too. So it didn't get as much radio play as well.
They weren't made to be singles.
They weren't made to be singles. They're made to be storytelling, and it's incredible to see the performances of those as well too. But I feel like if this was because this was already short in the concert, they cut songs.
Right.
Yes.
They did cut songs from this.
Like Cardigan, don't get me started.
Yeah. So had they cut any more, I feel would have been a detriment to the film.
Maybe so, but that's you knowing that it's longer.
But that is my personal take because of how many single hits she has had.
Yes.
There's so many out there. Like Jimmy was saying Cardigan. But if they'd cut any more, and even Folklore didn't even last that long as an era in this film.
Right.
So, and she's hitting so many of her hits, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, Muscle Member, you know the words because they've had radio play
but
so long.
But she's also, in fairness, leaving out big songs too.
Sure.
Okay.
Not many.
Songs that I knew that I was like, where was that song at?
Well, a lot of it might be from secret. She had plenty of secret songs as well, where she hit a lot of those during the concerts as well too.
Sure. She did.
So I think, but overall, in terms of what fans wanted, because she hasn't toured necessarily that much, she was giving them what they wanted, and that's who this is for, obviously, not the casual, right?
And I want to be very clear. Most of my score when we give it here in a second is going to be about the film. I'm not talking about the music or the artist. That's
sure.
What you think of the songs.
We're not here to review that. We're not a music podcast. We're here for the film, so I'll be talking about the film. I just wanted to say...
But the length is going to come into play for you.
Because it's like the film, yes, for sure.
Right. So that's why I'm bringing that into question, because you bring up Dave Matthews, like, that wouldn't be... I don't think it would be the same. He's a jam band.
No, it's not the same.
So,
I'm just simply saying that I'm trying to make it personal. That's my favorite group. I've seen 42 Dave Matthews shows. Okay, if I showed up to Red Rocks or the Gorge or freaking Bridgestone Arena,
live.
and they played for 5 hours, it would be the greatest day of my life. But if they turn that into a movie, even I would be like, dude, no.
You're asking people to, like, if you're watching or listening to this podcast right now, insert your favorite band.
That's right.
And try to
imagine a 3.5 hour marathon.
Yeah, would you do it? Now, let me tell you about, my take going in. I'm going to relive this concert experience. One of the things that I think that maybe you are missing, because it was missing, was the actual concert experience. Because when I don't think there's another concert out there where people planned their outfits 6 months before the concert.
Right.
Okay? And they didn't make the outfits themselves, except for this tour. Okay? Being on site day before, day of, day break for a night show was part of the experience for whatever city this came through, if you were going to the show. And being surrounded by the absolute love and probably the nicest human citizens of the world you will ever encounter is something that you could not capture on this film. And they did a little bit of a nod to it during the closing credits.
Which was awesome.
Which I was really glad.
Yes.
Because I'm like, yeah, but what about? And they did like a good part of the closing credits are in the bracelet form. And I just thought that was a great touch. To me, this was just an amazing thing to watch, because when I saw this, I was watching from a box, which I don't think is a great place to watch a concert, but I'm never turning down that ticket.
No.
Right? So what happened for me was I'm watching, kind of a small Taylor Swift in person with my eyes, but more often than not, I'm drifting to the really large screen, blown up, televised Jumbotron version of what's going on live. And with this film, I loved it because then it kind of went to a third level. Okay. So not only I'm watching this movie, but they're showing her up close. Okay. As if it's like with your real eyes. And then they're also showing you what's showing behind her, which sometimes is a different angle of her, or it's a setting, it's a mood, or it's part of the stage, which every single thing could light up and move and change, like it was like some kind of Transformers, thing. Like, there is no other concert that has ever existed where all of these things came into play in one thing. And so, to be able to see that up close and to see it, boom, 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 just go by. Not that there were big lapses between songs in the actual live concert, but for it to just keep like banger after banger, maybe a slower song, but then returning with something that just like gets your blood pumping. I had chills. Absolutely it gave me everything I needed. I wanted to relive that show, and I got to see it beautifully. I heard it perfectly because it wasn't echoing around a stadium.
Right.
So yeah, I was just I was totally in awe. I want to focus real quick on Taylor Swift and how she changes everything she touches and changes an industry. And, she has done it with re-recording her own catalogs, and you could name 100 things. But this film was a surprise to everybody. And the way she did it, again, she tosses out the way an industry has kind of churned out stuff, and she basically did an end around the system. This is a screenwriter named Mike Cordell, who is, was on strike, but is still on strike in solidarity with the Actors Union. And he was talking about how big studios have so much control and how Taylor Swift said, no.
So here's something that just happened, and you're going to see a lot more of this. Taylor Swift has a movie, and she decided, I'm not going to the studios to distribute my movie, because why would I? I don't need them. She just went to the theaters and said, you want really good content, right? People seem to like me right now. I have a movie. You want to negotiate? And they're like, yeah, who's the distributor? And she's like, me. Yeah. And she just cut the studios completely out.
Mm-hmm. Local theater gets paid. The theater company gets paid. She and her people get paid.
Right.
Everybody wins.
And everybody that worked on the production of this film was A-okay as far as the people that are on strike, because she paid them what they are asking for during this strike.
She got full approval and everything.
Yeah. So she just changes the game. And it comes across in her performances and in how she does business. I love it. All right, let's get a final score on Taylor Swift, the Eras Tour movie, and let's start with Bradford.
So the production value of the concert, but what it gave me from the cameras, and I'm looking at the film perspective of this too, and how it encapsulated, and I know I wish I could have been there in person to experience this, but what the cameras caught for the film was we got to see so much up close of what Taylor was doing, which gave me details of what she was doing. So some things that stood out. The inclusiveness of her dancers.
Yeah.
People from all different backgrounds, from different walks of life, different sizes as well. Loved that as well, to be able to showcase this is the community. It's more representative of her fan base even too, to have the full breadth of people in her dancers. The choreography, the way she's thinking about storytelling. And we're fine with concerts where they're just out there performing, right? But she is telling a story through this production, whether it's folklore or whatnot, through the choreography, the costume changes, the props, the screen behind her, and the movie captures that very well. So if you weren't there, you get to feel everything like that too. You're not going to feel the same goosebumps, but you're getting everything that she wanted to put out there that's her and representing her on that stage, because they had that choice. People put it in the film. You're not missing things because your eye's wandering somewhere else or you miss something flash on the screen. No, they're telling your eye what to pay attention to, because this is what Taylor wanted you to see. I had a good time. I loved it. I thought the choreography was great. I thought the way they cut the film together, and especially in a place like SoFi, you have lots of technology you can utilize to record a movie like this during a concert, and that's obviously why they chose SoFi for it. Plus, it closed off the tour, right?
Yes.
So many reasons behind that. With that, I give it a 9. I thought it was a great concert film. I mean, it's setting a standard for concert films, too. If you're going to do a concert film and even try to match this level, good luck. Because what the elements that it included, too, because the audio editing, with the surround sound, even just in a regular theater, I felt like I was there because I could hear murmurs behind me.
Yes.
I could hear little coughs. I could hear sneezes. I felt like I was surrounded by people and I was by myself in an empty theater at 10 p.m. on a Sunday night. So the way they mixed the audio with this, it wasn't just Taylor and what was happening on stage. It was they encapsulated all of the sound of being surrounded by people, of the little itty. Because I actually turned my head, like, did somebody sneak in behind me? Because I heard little whispers of stuff or people singing. So I enjoyed that aspect of it as well.
I have to agree with pretty much everything you said. I thought the sound mix was phenomenal. Having been there, I also felt like I was there again. Whoever mixed this thing did it beautifully. A perfect blend of the instruments, her voice being highlighted, and having the feeling that you are surrounded by fellow fans enjoying the show. There's a technical beauty that she demands of everything. If you see something of hers that appears on her Instagram, and it might be just a still photo of her in concert, it's going to be something you're going to want to frame because it's beautiful. She has set a standard of just giving you the most pleasing things to see on top of what you're hearing. That the way those cameras captured, and this is like the dumb little thing, but I'm like, I can see every little fly away at the end of her hair as it's glowing from a spotlight against a dark background, and I was just like, wow, I could never have seen that at the show. And so I loved that ability to see things from a vantage point that you can't at the concert. And I loved this movie because it showed me, yes, she changed and evolved every single time she put out new music, but there was a thread throughout that made me think like, okay, but yeah, there's an essentially Taylor core through everything from when she wrote it as a teenager to the stuff she's writing now in her 30s, and I'm like, that's just amazing. And they captured it so beautifully. The edits were so quick and so perfect and showing me the right things at the right time. I'm also giving Taylor Swift's ERAS movie a 9.
Okay.
Go over.
The attention to detail was tremendous. What I mean by that is, yes, Jim, you can see the hairs and all, that's all true. But as an audio guy who deals with sync a lot, they have a shot of her, let's say, close up on the stage, okay? And she's singing along. And you don't even think about it because it's obviously synced well, because it's obvious. But then they cut to a wide shot from the top of the stadium, for example, and you can really see the Jumbotrons.
Right.
Well, we all know that when you go to a sporting event or a concert and you're looking at the Jumbotron, it's about a frame or two, maybe even 4 or 5 frames behind. Just enough.
Because the sound is taking longer to get to you.
That's right, because the image has to go through and then the sound is already... So It's a little off. They took the time in this. For the most part, there were a couple moments where I was like, oops. But for the most part, and I'd say 90% of the time, they took the time to, when the Jumbotron screens were the focal point and you couldn't see her lips moving on stage, I guess is what I'm saying, they synced it with the Jumbotron. They didn't sync it and they didn't leave it as is. Mm-hmm. And that was... that's next level professionalism.
It's something you don't think about in the moment, and if you're not somebody like yourself, but it just feels right.
But then if you saw the comparison, you'd be like, oh, yeah, there's a difference.
Yeah. Nothing you shouldn't even notice, right? But it's just, unless someone's not doing their job. But in this particular case, they could have totally got, with the speed of which they produced this film, with all that thing, with the rush to get it out, all these things, they could have easily been like, well, but it's,
don't worry about that.
Yeah, don't worry. This is the concert. It's only Fire for people understand. It's a jump. No, they went in and they judged it back 4 or 5 seconds. It was great. And then the last thing is, as I mentioned, it's too long. Even for my own personal tastes, with my favorite band up on that screen, it would be way too long. I give it an 8.0.
Oh, okay. All right. Still pretty good.
Yeah.
The Taylor Swift ERAS movie, changing cinema. I know a lot of movie theaters are going, thank you.
Saving cinema is more like it.
Saving cinema. Thank you. Yeah, it's going to happen.
No passes.
Right, exactly. And the same thing's going to happen. I mean, the template has been set. Beyonce is going to be doing it in a couple of months, and there are other people that are going to be doing the exact same thing. If you are a fan of Christian rock, there's going to be an event at Red Rocks. They're doing the same thing with a bunch of bands, more of a festival film. So, I mean, this really has jump-started something that, at least to keep our theaters going, will save them for a while through this strike.
With it being Taylor Swift season, we thought, what would be really cool? What musical moment or concert or whatever you want to say, again, I'm leaving it vague on purpose, would you love to see a full camera? Again, no behind the scenes, no getting ready, no makeup chair, no post, you're getting off stage, having a comment. None of that. Just the concert. What part of musical history would you love to see shot in a multicam IMAX format for your ears and eye pleasure? And we're going to start with myself because I feel like I should maybe bring that to the table to make sure everybody kind of gets an idea.
Somebody doesn't steal yours.
Well, yeah, that's a good way.
They won't.
Okay. So it's Baby Shark created in a closet
Acoustic
in Anaheim,
Baby Shark.
California. Yeah.
Yes,
Caillou in concert.
Acoustic Baby Shark. My answer is February 3rd, 1972, Chuck Berry in London. I say that because it seems random, and it is, but it seems random because as a throw-in, I think I was at like some sort of flea market or something, and it was like, buy 10 vinyls for $2, whatever it was. And this Chuck Berry album was in it. Now, Chuck Berry, back in the day, they used to produce, he'd have an album, right? Yeah. Chuck Berry on Top was an album. That's an actual album where he had like 8 different songs, right? But then there's like re-releases, and then there's like this and that. There's compilations, and there's a different compilation with the same track list, but just different. Like it got crazy back in the day, okay? But in this particular case, that's what I thought it was. I thought, it's just Chuck Berry greatest hits album or something like that. It turns out it's called the London Sessions.
Okay.
The London Chuck Berry Sessions is the actual title of it. And side A is just some songs that he did in London. And then side B are 3 songs that he did at a festival in London. And it is that one side, 3 songs, that one side is my favorite live album of all time. You can feel the energy coming off of the sound. Out of your speakers, you can feel it.
Yeah.
It is unbelievably contagious and amazing. And we talk about energy all the time. We love Talking Heads Stop Making Sense because the energy that was involved. Okay. This one, I'm sure if you're a Taylor Swift fan, the energy, this, I'm telling you, you can't see anything, right? But you can hear it. And it's this fervor and it comes out of the speakers. It's so powerful. I would love to see that whole show. It was only 10 seconds. It was only 10 songs long. I would love to see that whole show in IMAX with that kind of energy. So that's my answer. February 3rd, 1972, Chuck Berry.
All right. I'm ready to jump in. I'm going to give you my 2 quick runner-up. One is kind of a fantasy. You can't argue with this one because at some point, there are musicians and bands that like kind of mesh. They get each other. I'll say like Foo Fighters and Zac Brown Band, right? Okay, yep. Like they've done stuff together before, and I've heard these stories about where one artist will go and they'll stay at another artist's house for like a month, and they jammed there. So I think there's a concert that we don't know about that I would love to see. Okay, that's like one of my runner-ups. My second runner-up would be, I think. No, I'm going to make it my. This is it. Okay. It's the Beatles live in New York City in 1965. It's the one they always show you where all you see is the screaming. Mm-hmm. You can barely hear them singing, She Loves You, right? To me, show that to me like you did Taylor Swift's ERAS tour, where you just a few glimpses. I don't need to see the people fainting, okay? Like they've showed us that in the footage that does remain from that concert. I want to hear it great, and I want to see it in 4K, super, HD, gorgeous real life. Because it's all old and black and white, and the sound is bad, and you can't even hear them over the audience. I think that Beatles, live, I think it was at Shea Stadium.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Show that to me in its best form, and I think that would be amazing.
Let's get Peter Jackson to do it.
Yes.
See that Apple documentary?
Was it?
It looks
which was
like
incredible.
it was shot 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Unbelievably gorgeous. Sorry,
Yeah, incredible.
All right. So mine took place between 1987 and 1989.
Huey Lewis in the News.
Okie dokie.
It was Billy Ocean
No.
at the Holiday Inn.
I have 5 minutes of battery left. We got to hurry up.
Sorry.
Michael Jackson, Bad World Tour.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to see Smooth Criminal, but then to be able to see him moonwalk.
Yeah, that would be
Phenomenal.
To Billie Jean.
Yeah.
It's got to be. There's no more explanation needed. You've seen plenty of stuff from that world tour, but I'd love to see that in that kind of environment.
Yeah, I think that would rock. That would be totally amazing. Let's do it. If anybody has that footage and went back in time and
Quantum leap
has those cameras, at any of the things we mentioned, please share the footage with us. We won't tell anybody you're a time traveler. Tell us, what concert do you want to see that happened in history and for real, in perfect HD and IMAX sound and Dolby audio and all that kind of stuff. You can contact us through any of our socials.
Yep, that's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We don't have a LinkedIn. Or even Twitter, X, whatever.
Twitter.
But Instagram, TikTok is definitely going to be great, and Facebook as well. Untitled Film Project Pod.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Untitled Film Project Podcast. To support the show, please rate, review, follow, and subscribe. Original music by Jeremy Schwartz. Special thanks to the Music City Film Critics Association. Editing and post-production by Jeremy K. Gover. Voiceover by Chad Bennett.